Chapter 1. The Bones of Gods. The storm had been gnawing at Vareth's iron walls for 3 days. Red lightning cracked above the black towers, and the city below shuddered like a dying beast. In the highest chamber of the citadel, Lady Serene Valen stood before a table of bones, pale, luminous things that whispered when the wind shifted. Each one hummed faintly, pulsing with the breath of something ancient. "These are not relics, they are warnings," she murmured. Behind her, Lord Commander Draven Kor removed his helmet, revealing eyes like burnt copper. "The priests call them blessings. They burn the bones to light the throne room." Serene turned. "Then the throne itself is a pyre, and the king its ash." The storm groaned again. Below, in the streets of Vareth, the poor gathered to drink the god fire, a liquid distilled from the powdered remains of divine bone. It kept them warm for a price. Some said it made them dream of the old gods. Others never woke again. Far beyond the city, in the frozen north, Errand Ashvale walked alone across a field of broken statues. The snow whispered names he didn't remember. Each step echoed through hollow faces buried in ice. He stopped beside a shattered colossus, the image of a god whose name had been forbidden. A thin trail of fire bled from its eye, curling into the wind like smoke. When Aaron touched the flame, it spoke, not in words, but in memory. He saw the burning of Vareth. He saw a woman of bone and light standing in the citadel. He saw his own death and the world reborn in blood. He fell to his knees, gasping, snow melting under his hands. The voice within the fire whispered once more, "Wake us, child of ash. The bones remember." In the south, a black banner rose over the city of Zirath. 5 houses sharpened their blades and sent ravens north. For the first time in 1,000 years, the bones of gods were stirring. Chapter 2. Gathering Shadows. The iron citadel shivered under the storm, its black spires slicing through the crimson clouds. The halls had not seen all 5 houses in one chamber for a decade, and some whispered that such a gathering could summon the gods themselves. Lady Serene Valen stood at the head of the long obsidian table, her crimson cloak brushing the floor. Her fingers traced the edges of a bone shard, a relic from the god of war. Every house's representative would see it, and all would understand. Power came at a price. One by one, the nobles arrived. Lord Commander Draven Kor entered with his wolf-pack guards, snow clinging to his fur-lined cloak. He nodded once to Serene, no more, no less. His eyes flicked over the table, wary of traps hidden in plain sight. From the south, High Matron Celira Vera glided in, masked and perfumed. Her serpentine gaze swept the room, calculating alliances, weaknesses, and threats. When she finally spoke, her voice was honey dipped in venom. "Lady Valen, I trust you have prepared a welcoming fire." Queen Leona Arden arrived on a platform of ivory steps, flanked by her son, Sir Callan Arden. The swan banners behind them shimmered even in stormlight, concealing centuries of ambition and betrayal. Finally, from the red wastes, King Raeldrael entered, silent as a desert shadow, accompanied by Myra Drael, who muttered prayers to bones no one else could see. Her eyes glowed faintly, the living memory of gods. The chamber grew heavy with tension. Serene broke the silence. "The bones are awakening, and the flame remembers its name. Each house here holds a fragment of the divine,
but only one may wield it without losing themselves. Draven's hand twitched toward his sword. Celera smiled behind her mask. And what, pray tell, happens to the rest of us? Serene's lips curved. Burn. The first spark leapt across the table, not fire, but bone fire. A shard in the center glowed, humming with a voice only the ambitious could hear. Everyone felt it: hunger, fear, and the thrill of forbidden power. No one dared speak for a heartbeat. Then the games began. Celera whispered to Rael Drael. Lyanna Arden signaled her son to guard her flank. Dravencore's wolf-pack guards moved silently, eyes on every corner. Serene watched it all, a faint smile hiding her own secret agenda. Outside, the storm raged, but inside the chamber, a new tempest had begun, one of ambition, blood, and bones that remembered far more than any mortal should. The first betrayal had yet to occur, but it would not wait long.
Chapter 3. The First Spark of Blood. The night had fallen over Valoreth, and lightning fractured the clouds above the iron citadel. Inside, the council chamber was deserted, except for the remnants of the previous meeting. Bone shards still hummed faintly. Their glow bathed the marble floor in pale fire. Lady Seraine Valen lingered near the central shard, listening. Every heartbeat in the citadel echoed like a drum of warning. Suddenly, a soft scuff of boots on stone. Seraine's hand went to the dagger at her waist. From the shadows emerged a masked figure, one of Veyra's assassins, cloaked in emerald silk. Before the figure could strike, a roar split the hall. Dravencore leapt from the darkness, blade flashing. The assassin stumbled, cursed, and vanished into a hidden tunnel, leaving only a whisper of perfume and venom. Seraine's eyes narrowed. Veyra moves too quickly. They seek the shard. From the balcony above, Erind Ashvale appeared, summoned by visions of fire that only he could hear. His presence was a riddle, born of core blood, yet carrying the prophecy of gods. He spoke in a voice no one understood, yet everyone felt it. The shard remembers its true master. Betrayal will come from the hand you trust most. The words fell like ash, and the council chamber seemed to breathe with anticipation. Moments later, Queen Lyanna Arden entered, her expression pale. In her hand, she held a scroll, sealed with the mark of the Swan Lords. She unrolled it on the table, revealing the prophecy of bones. When the storm blackens the sky and the shards awaken, 5 bloodlines shall gather. One will claim the flame, the rest shall be ash. Beware the hand that smiles, for it shall strike first. Beware the one who kneels, for they shall rise last. Every eye flicked to every other, suspicion, fear, and greed lighting their faces like fire. Celera Veyra whispered, "The prophecy favors no one, yet favors all who dare." King Rael Drael clenched his fist, his teeth grinding. "The gods will speak through me, not these mortal pretenders." Seraine Valen only smiled, knowing she had prepared for this moment longer than anyone else. Outside the citadel, the storm tore the city apart. Inside, a new tempest brewed, one of lies, poison, and ambition. And the first spark of blood was already drawn.
Chapter 4. Flames in the Hall. The morning sun struggled through storm clouds over the iron citadel. The council chamber, still heavy with shadows from the previous night, was alive with whispers, glances, and the tension of unspoken threats. Lady Serene Valen sat at the head of the obsidian table, fingers brushing the glowing bone shard. Its hum was louder now, like a heartbeat, and she could feel its magic stretching toward those who craved power. High Matron Celira Vera rose from her chair, mask gleaming in the dim light. "The shard does not belong to Vareth," she declared, voice sharp. "The southern trade routes have suffered enough. We demand its power be shared, or—" Her threat hung in the air, unfinished. King Rael Drael slammed his fist on the table, sending shards vibrating. "Or the world will burn," he spat. "The gods themselves chose me. The red wastes will rise while Vera bleeds in envy." Sir Kaelin Arden stepped forward, trying to mediate. "Peace. This chamber is not a battlefield. We are bound by blood, prophecy, and the shard itself." Draven Kor's hand rested on his sword. He said nothing, but the wolves behind him snarled. Every noble present understood. Steel might speak louder than words. Then the shard pulsed violently, bright as lightning. A thin spectral flame shot upward, wrapping around the table like a living serpent. The room froze. The fire did not burn, but it whispered. Voices of the gods, calling, laughing, warning. Errand Ashvale stepped forward, drawn by visions only he could see. His hand hovered over the shard, trembling. A whisper slipped into his mind. "Claim me, or watch them all fall." He pulled back. The flame flared, then dissipated, leaving scorched patterns on the table. Every house realized one truth. The shard chose no one, yet it had awakened. Celira's eyes narrowed. She had made his own best case for him. Before the council could react, a crash echoed from the chamber doors. Myra Drael appeared, her cloak tattered, eyes glowing faintly. In her hands, she held a fragment of the god of war, a shard she had stolen from the red wastes. "It begins," she whispered. The shard pulsed, and the walls of the citadel trembled. And in that moment, every house understood. The prophecy was no longer words on parchment. It was alive, and the first battle for divine power had begun.
Chapter 5. The Shattered Hall. The sun had not risen over Vareth. The storm outside had not ended. Instead, it raged with renewed fury as though the heavens themselves were angry at the awakening of the bones. Within the iron citadel, the council chamber was no longer a place for debate. Chairs lay overturned, shards of bone scattered across the floor, and scorch marks burned the obsidian table like old wounds. King Rael Drael strode in, bronze armor gleaming, eyes like molten metal. Behind him, Myra Drael's stolen shard glowed faintly in her hand. She whispered, barely audible, "The first strike is mine." Before anyone could respond, Celira Vera lunged, dagger in hand, targeting Rael's flank. Draven Kor reacted instantly, throwing himself between them. The northern wolf guards clashed with Vera's assassins in a flurry of steel, bone, and blood. Lady Serene Valen stayed at the head of the table, her hand over the central shard. She whispered an incantation. A spectral flame erupted, encasing her in a halo of shimmering light. The shard pulsed violently, sending shock waves through the chamber, enough to send the battling houses staggering back. From the shadows, Errand Ashvale appeared, eyes alight with fire only he could see. He stepped onto the battlefield, raising his hands. The shard recognized him. The air shimmered with heat, and a voice echoed in his mind. "Child of ash, claim me, or fall with them." Eren did not move forward to strike. Instead, he unleashed a pulse of energy from his hands. The shards across the room levitated, spinning, slicing through armor and wood. The floors trembled. Guards, nobles, and assassins alike fell to their knees. Chaos consumed the chamber, blood mixed with ash and rainwater dripping through the fractured roof. Every house realized that the bones were not a tool to wield, they were alive. They demanded obedience. They punished recklessness. Amid the carnage, Serane's smile was calm, calculated. She had predicted this moment. She whispered, "The game begins." Outside, the storm broke into an unholy silence. The citadel stood scarred, but its occupants, few and trembling, understood the same terrifying truth. The bones were awake, and nothing would ever be the same.
Chapter 6: Alliances of Ash. The iron citadel smoldered under a sky streaked with lightning and ash. Its halls bore the marks of bonefire, shattered shields, and splintered dreams. The first clash of houses had left scars, some on stone, some on flesh, and others deeper, in trust that would never fully return. Lady Serene Valen stood amid the wreckage, the central shard cradled in her hands. Her crimson cloak was scorched at the hem, but her composure was untouched. Around her, the remnants of the council shuffled nervously. Queen Lyanna Arden approached, eyes cautious but calculating. "This carnage benefits no one," she said, voice trembling with controlled fear. "Yet the shard has awakened. We must consider survival, even if it means temporary alliances." Salira Vera's mask glinted in the dim light as she leaned against a shattered column. "Temporary alliances are the blood life of survival, but the moment weakness shows, betrayal will taste sweeter than victory." From the north, Draven Kor entered with his wolf guards, silent as shadows. "The shard recognizes one among us," he said, nodding toward Erend Ashvale, who stood at the center of the chamber, eyes aflame with visions of fire and ash. Erend felt the weight of prophecy upon him. The shards hummed in unison, the bones calling his name. He spoke for the first time aloud. "The shards choose no king. They choose a hand to wield them, and I am that hand. But power without control will burn us all." King Rael Drael, kneeling to recover from his wounds, glared. "You speak like a child. I will claim them regardless of prophecy." "Then you will be the first to fall," Erend replied, his voice calm, terrifying. The shard floated, spinning slowly, bathing the room in an otherworldly glow. Even Myra Drael recoiled, realizing the prophecy might be slipping from her father's grasp. Serene Valen finally broke the tension. "Enough. Survival requires pragmatism, not pride. Vera, Arden, Kor. Temporary alliances. The Red Wastes cannot breach the Citadel again without meeting a united front." Salira's lips curved into a sly smile. "Temporary," she repeated. The word tasted like poison. Outside, lightning struck the outer walls. Bonefire pulsed from the shards, resonating with the storm. Each surviving noble knew this truth. The bones had awakened, and the game had only begun. And in the midst of it all, Erend Ashvale felt the shards whisper again. "You are the flame bearer. Control it, or let it burn the world." Chapter 7: War of Shards. Dawn broke with fire in the east. The plains outside Verith were a battlefield before any army had even gathered. Bonefire glimmered faintly beneath the earth, reacting to the surge of ambition and bloodlust. House Drael led the first wave, banners black as ash, soldiers armored in bronze, weapons forged from divine bone. King Rael Drael rode at the front, eyes aflame with obsession, Myra Drael's stolen shard glowing in his hand. Opposing them, the united front of Valen, Kor, Arden, and Vera waited. Serene Valen stood on a hill, crimson cloak whipping in the wind, the central shard hovering behind her. Draven Kor's wolf guards formed the spearhead. Queen Lyanna Arden raised her banner, while Salira Vera spies and assassins hid in the shadows, ready to strike. A silence fell. The world itself seemed to hold its breath. Then the shard pulsed, resonating with every heartbeat. Suddenly, the ground tore open. Spectral flames erupted from hidden bone shards, encasing soldiers in blazing illusions of gods long dead. Weapons twisted, armor fused with flesh, and screams echoed as reality itself warped. Erend Ashvale appeared at the center, hands raised. The shards circled him like a storm. Every step he took rewrote the battlefield. One side's advantage could vanish with a thought. One moment of hesitation could mean death. Drael's warriors charged, but spectral serpents of flame rose, twisting and biting. Myra Drael cried out, sensing her father losing control of the shard's power. Salira Vera moved silently through the chaos, striking at exposed flanks, whispering promises of power to any who would betray. Queen Lyanna Arden's soldiers formed defensive lines, their morale bolstered by the Swan's banner, but even they felt the unnatural weight of the shard's influence. Serene Valen's shard flared violently. "Focus on the bone fire," she shouted. "Do not fight the men. Fight the magic!" Eren stepped forward. His voice rang over the battlefield. "The bones remember. They do not care for houses or kings or fools. Only balance or destruction." The sky split with lightning. From the shards rose spectral forms, echoes of gods, half seen and terrifying. Soldiers screamed as visions of ancestors and forgotten deities danced around them. Some fell to their knees in awe, others ran in madness. King Rael Drael's fury turned to fear. The shards obeyed only Erend. The first house to claim true victory, or true power, had yet to emerge. Amid the chaos, Serene Valen and Erend Ashvale exchanged a glance. Both understood the battlefield was no longer just about swords and banners. It was about who could survive the will of the bones themselves. The war had begun, but the real game was only starting. Chapter 8. The Choice of Flame. Smoke curled over the plains outside Verith. Broken banners and shattered bone fire relics littered the battlefield. Soldiers groaned, tending wounds or mourning the fallen. The storm had finally receded, leaving the air thick with ash and the acrid scent of burned bone. King Rael Drael knelt over his men, fury still smoldering in his eyes. His army had survived, but only barely. The shard in Myra's hands pulsed faintly, resisting his control. He realized with horror that the bones answered only Erend. From the center of the battlefield, Erend Ashvale emerged, exhausted yet unwavering. Spectral flames rose around him, forming the shape of a hand reaching toward the sky. Beneath the remnants of Drael's forces, something glimmered, a new artifact, half buried in ash and bone. Serene Valen approached cautiously. "The heart of the gods," she whispered. "It has appeared. Whoever claims it will wield unimaginable power, but at a cost no one can predict." The artifact was a crystalline shard, humming with the memory of creation itself. The shard pulsed in rhythm with Erin's heartbeat, whispering promises and warnings. It could awaken the gods or destroy them forever. Erin looked at the blooded faces of the surviving houses, Rael Drael seething with greed, Myra Drael plotting betrayal, Lyanna Arden trying to protect her people, Dravenkor watching silently, calculating every move. He felt the weight of prophecy pressing down. Child of Ash, claim me, or let it burn the world. Erin had a choice. Seize the heart of the gods and risk corruption or annihilation. Leave it untouched and let the houses continue their bloody power struggle. His eyes flicked to Serain. He said to Serain, "The shard trusts no one. It tests us all." A howl rose from the red wastes. Rael Drael's army was regrouping, drawn toward the artifact by hunger and ambition. Salira moved closer, offering an alliance in whispers, her voice slick with temptation. Erin stepped forward. The heart of the gods floated above the ash, radiating bonfire light that flickered like a heartbeat. He raised a hand. The shards pulsed violently. The ground trembled. Soldiers froze mid-step, weapons raised. The air hummed with power beyond mortal comprehension. Erin made his choice. He would claim the artifact, but not for himself. He would wield it as a weapon of balance, a force to temper ambition and preserve the fragile peace. The shards screamed in response, some in approval, some in warning. Reality twisted around him. Power surged into his veins, filling him with fire, bone, and memory. And in that